Hi everyone, welcome to another Tech Talk with Samir, where I talk about anything and everything related to technology in my life. If you haven't already, please check out some of my recent videos and subscribe to the channel to help me grow this thing. I have several upcoming videos in the works and you don't want to miss them. So 2020 has been very different to say the least. It seems like every new day keeps bringing new challenges in our lives. What used to feel unimaginable has often become the norm throughout the year. As much as we would love for this year to be over, unfortunately we have no other choice but to power through it. Being in the middle of a global pandemic, as a society we found newer and safer ways to continue on with our lives to help us get through it all. For my day job, I've been very fortunate to be in a role that allows me to work from home to reduce the potential spread of the virus in the workplace. This privilege does, however, come with its own set of challenges. A workplace is typically set up in a way where it increases the productivity of its employees. Whether it's physical access to coworkers, conference rooms, or high-end tools, a workplace typically has all the facilities needed to run the business efficiently. Although some aspects of working from the office can never be replaced, there are definitely things you can do to enhance your work from home experience. For me personally, I spend a large portions of my day sitting in front of a computer. During business hours is for my day job, and after that is for my personal hobbies like photo and video editing, as well as some occasional gaming. As a result, it was important for me to have a setup that not only has everything I need to be productive, but also comfortable to work in. In this video, I'll be giving a quick tour of my work from home desk setup, which I've revised over the years to best suit my specific needs. The first item I got back in early 2018 was the desk itself. It's a sit-stand desk from a company called Uplift Desk. The one I got has a 60-inch by 30-inch tabletop. I like to have a lot of space on my desk, so I wanted a large tabletop. They do have options that are 80-inch wide, but for my specific needs, 60-inch was wide enough. Although I do like the motorized height adjustability, there's been very few occasions when I've actually worked while standing up. Typically, I just use the motorized feature to adjust for different sitting postures. However, if I were to do it all over again, I would probably skip the sit-stand desk and instead just do the cheap IKEA kitchen countertop setup that everyone on YouTube seems to have. I did go that route for my dad's work from home setup, and I would be completely okay with having that for myself. I recently added some RGB light strips along the back edge of the desk. This allows me to have the perfect ambient lighting to set the mood, especially in the evenings when I'm working on personal projects. If you've seen my recent video about making a wireless charger more wireless, you may already know about the wireless charger I have embedded into my desk. I'll put a link in the description to that video if you're interested in doing it for yourself. Having this charger embedded into the desk definitely helps me keep the clutter to a minimum on top of the desk. Perhaps the most important items on my desk are my two 27-inch monitors. They're the UltraSharp U2715H monitors from Dell. Although these are slightly older models compared to some of their newer offerings, they still have relatively slim bezels, which is great for using in multi-monitor setups. These monitors have a 2560 by 1440 resolution, which I find to be the perfect resolution for 27-inch screens without having to do any sort of scaling. I first bought one of these monitors back in 2015, and then I went on to add a second one 3 years later to enhance the experience. When editing photos and videos, you can never have too much screen real estate. I did look into getting an ultra-wide monitor instead of having two monitors, but I tend to compartmentalize my workflow into different areas of the screen. And it's just a lot easier to do that with a multi-monitor setup than it is with a single ultra-wide. For example, when I maximize a window, it will maximize into just one screen rather than expanding into both screens. This allows me to have a better separation between my workspaces. I won't say that I'll never switch to an ultra-wide because I'm always looking for ways to enhance the experience, but at least for now, this works best for me. Another thing I like about these monitors is that they have multiple inputs. This allows me to have my personal computer on one input and my work laptop on another input. And when I want to switch between them, there are shortcuts I can program to switch from one to the other. This has been a very useful feature during this work from home period. If you've ever had a multi-monitor setup on your desk, you know how much space the monitors tend to take up. For me, that would have defeated the purpose of having a large desk if majority of the space was used up by the screens. One way to get around that is to use monitor arms. This allows you to still keep majority of your desk space while using multiple monitors. I got my monitor arms from Amazon. It's made by a company called Elitab, or LTAB, and it's a very sturdy set of arms for a dual monitor setup. I used to have a different set of monitor arms before getting these ones, and the issue with those was that they used to wobble a bit whenever I was typing or doing anything on my desk. These, however, are much more sturdy and keeps the monitors very stable. It also gives you the flexibility to adjust the monitors in different ways depending on your needs. Another thing I like about this particular model is that it has very good cable management, and I cannot see any cables while I'm sitting at my desk. Cables are a really big big pet peeve of mine if you haven't already noticed from my previous videos. That brings me to the one item on my desk that does have a cable running over my desk, and that's my keyboard. My keyboard is something that I'm very particular about. I've had it for over 7 years now, and I'm still looking for something that I can justify switching over to. My keyboard is from a company called Das Keyboard. It's a mechanical keyboard, and the one I have is equipped with Cherry MX Blue keys. The clicky sound and the feel of this keyboard is something that I've become very accustomed to over the years, and it becomes very difficult for me to type on anything else. I know nowadays there's many mechanical keyboards out there, and a lot of them do have the same types of keys as mine. But for someone like myself who already owns this one, there's been very little incentive to switch over to something else. One specific innovation that I've been keeping an eye on are the new wave of wireless mechanical keyboards. I know there's several decent ones already out there, but my biggest issue with all of them is the battery life. If a wireless device requires frequent charging, it might as well be wired. Moving on to my mouse. It's everyone's favorite mouse for productivity. Is the Logitech MX Master. I personally have the first generation of this mouse, but there's several newer models of this mouse out there. All of them have the same form factor that everyone loves. My favorite thing about this mouse is the ergonomic shape. It's really comfortable to use, and for me, it feels like I'm just resting my hand in a natural position. This mouse also has some additional cool features like the side scrolling wheel, as well as the ability to switch between 3 devices on the fly. When it comes to the mouse and keyboard, as you can probably already tell, I'm very particular about them. Because of this, I have an identical setup at the office as I do at home. This makes me feel right at home regardless of where I'm working from. On my desk, I have a large mat I use underneath my keyboard and mouse. It mostly serves as a large mouse pad, but it's also a nice soft surface to rest my wrist on while I'm typing or using the mouse. For audio, majority of the time, I use my Klipsch Pro Media 2.1 speakers. Now, take everything I'm about to say with the preface that I'm not an audiophile. However, I can tell the difference between bad sounding devices from the good ones. And this one is a great sounding set of speakers that does the job and doesn't break the bank. I've had these for almost 8 years and they've performed great throughout the years. I've used them for gaming, listening to music, watching movies, as well as monitoring audio while editing videos, and they've never disappointed. For the times when I need to operate a little more quietly, I use my Bose Quiet Comfort headphones. These are the first generation QC35s and I got them almost 4 years ago. Over the years, aside from using them at my desk, I've taken them on countless bus rides during my commutes and flights during my travels. The amazing noise cancelling abilities of these cans have been great for tuning out sound on noisy vehicles. These days, there's certainly better options from Sony and Bose, but for me, I don't have any compelling reasons to upgrade at this moment. Also stay tuned for my next video where I talk about items that I currently use when I'm on the go, as you'll see why I no longer use these headphones outside of the house. While the QC35 is great for my personal use for things like listening to music and watching videos, ever since I started working from home for my day job, I find myself on many conference calls using tools like Skype and Microsoft Teams. As a result, I decided to invest in a wireless headset that is more geared towards those tasks. I got the MPOW HC5 Bluetooth headset. This thing has great battery life and is comfortable to use for long conference calls. Although I can technically use the QC35s for the same purpose, I've had complaints that the people on the other side have a hard time hearing me. With this headset, since the microphone is positioned in front of my face, it drastically improves the call quality. When it comes to the storage of my headphones, I have a headphone hanger mounted underneath my desk. It helps me keep them out of the way when I'm not using them. Going back to the top of my desk, I have an Amazon Echo Show 5. It serves several purposes for me. At its least useful state, it's just a clock that helps me keep an eye on the time. But I do use it to help me achieve a few things throughout my day. Sometimes I use it just to set reminders, and sometimes I use it to control my smart home devices. Perhaps the most useful thing I use it for is to integrate it with my Ring video doorbell. I just say, "Who's at my front door?" and it will just show me a video feed of my doorbell camera. It also allows me to speak to anyone that may be at the front door. I've also set it up in a way where it notifies me if a motion is detected by any of the cameras around the house. This helps me be a little more aware of the surroundings of the house while I'm being busy with work. One last thing I have on my desk is this sensor for my Nest thermostat. A couple of years ago, Nest released these sensors that can pair with their thermostats to better regulate the temperatures of specific areas in your home. During business hours, I've I've set the thermostat so that it uses this specific sensor to regulate the temperature rather than the thermostat itself. Since this sensor is very close to where I sit, it makes sure that the temperature is perfect where it actually matters. With me being so picky about having a clean desk, sacrifices had to be made elsewhere to achieve this, and that elsewhere is actually underneath the desk. All my cables run underneath the desk to make all the magic happen. I did use some cable management trays along with some cable ties to keep the mess more manageable, but I still get nightmares whenever I look underneath the desk. With the help of some strong double-sided tape, I also mounted some other devices underneath my desk, one of which is a USB switcher device. This allows me to switch my mouse, keyboard, and webcam between my personal computer and my work laptop with just the press of one button. I highly recommend something like this if you have multiple computers at the same desk. This is way better than having multiple keyboards and mice. Another thing I mounted underneath my desk is a USB charging hub. It's one made by RAV Power and it has 4 normal USB ports along with one USB-C port. The USB-C port can output up to 60 watts, which means it can charge anything from smartphones to laptops. I have it mounted in a position that is easy to reach because I do use it quite often. One other notable item that I mounted under my desk is a USB-C docking station for my work laptop. Now initially the hope was that I could just connect one cable to the laptop to integrate it with all my peripherals, but the particular docking station that I have can only support one monitor at 1440p resolution, and any additional monitors get limited to 1080p. As a result, I connect my second monitor directly to the laptop using HDMI to USB-C cable to get the full resolution. Although it doesn't accomplish the goal of having just one cable, I did get it down to just 2 cables. Something that I recently added was a TV on the wall in front of my desk. I had an old 32-inch TV laying around and I just decided to mount it here. With all the crazy things happening in 2020, I tend to keep the news on while I work. It not only keeps me posted on current events, but it also adds a bit of ambient sound while I'm working. As you'd expect, I made sure to conceal the cabling for the TV. The last thing I wanted was a bunch of cables coming down the wall right in front of my face. I made a video last year on how to mount a TV on a wall with concealed cabling. I'll link it in the description of this video. The final piece of my work from home setup is the chair. Now I know chairs aren't exactly the most exciting items, but when you factor in the amount of time you spend on your chair each day, it's definitely not something you should overlook. I personally use a Herman Miller Aeron chair. These are not cheap. They can run over $1,000 depending on the configuration. However, I was able to pick this one up for next to nothing from a company that was doing some renovations and was getting rid of some old furniture. You don't necessarily need to spend $1,000 to find a good chair. You can find plenty of ergonomic chairs for much cheaper. However, your mileage may vary when it comes to the durability over a long period of time. I ran through several office chairs over the years before coming across this one. And that's pretty much it. I like to keep my desk as simple as possible while having all the functionality that I need. This setup didn't just happen overnight. It's been an accumulation of changes over several years. And although I may think it's the perfect setup at this moment, things constantly change and I'm sure there will be plenty of changes going forward. As always, I'll be putting Amazon affiliate links to the items mentioned in this video in the description. If you choose to buy anything using the links, I'll get a small commission from Amazon, which will help me bring you more content going forward. Once again, if you've liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay tuned in to my upcoming content. Stay safe, and I'll see you again on the next one.